Hello, this is Pearl, my rescue roborovski hamster, and this is her enclosure. I decided to make a few changes to her enclosure as part of a deep clean that I was doing. I wanted to add more clutter for her to explore and use as cover, add more sand and sand of a different consistency, and I actually ended up changing her wheel too. The first thing I did was take out Pearl and put her in her carrier with a lot of deep bedding. I then took out the items and most of her bedding and saved half of it to put back in so that she would have a familiar scent. I also left the sand in, but I sifted it first. I then positioned the larger items, so the wooden multi-chamber hide and the platform on stilts, before adding the sand and bedding. I have been using Reptisand, but this time I also bought some Rodipet desert sand, which is for dwarf hamsters. I layered the two types of sand and I also mixed them together a bit. I then added a mixture of new Natural Care fresh bedding, and I also put back in the old, slightly different type of Natural Care fresh bedding that I had saved. I compacted it down, and whilst adding the bedding, I also put in these two burrow-like tunnels. I always leave space around her wheel, free from any clutter or any hard objects that she could potentially land on if she ever fell out of her wheel, as this could be very dangerous. So I like to leave a soft landing around the wheel. I then added the accessories and hides, fresh water and some other substrates and a flower and herb bedding topper mix. I added the sandstone rocks, which is important because I scatter the food over these rocks to encourage Pearl to forage among them and to wear down her nails. I also added some organic sprays throughout the enclosure. Then I brought Pearl back to her enclosure. She explored it a bit and then set to work burrowing. Later I noticed that for some reason, since moving the wheel, Pearl seemed to have a lot less control over it than she had before. So I switched it out for the large Night Angel wooden cork-lined wheel, and this was much better. She could still run no problem and had a lot more control. Now that her sand area is much deeper and a different consistency, I'll be interested to see if she burrows into it at all, and I will let you know. It's actually deeper than it looks on here because it goes all the way to the bottom of where the wooden trim is. And that's it for the new enclosure set up for Pearl. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.